Hello and welcome to the Scotlandmagic YouTube channel. My name's Gabby. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an Australian who relocated to Scotland and have a full-time job here as a photographer and content creator. And these little videos are just to create some educational content for you to help you expand, learn, grow, possibly grow a photography business, maybe relocate to Scotland, or maybe you just want to come and visit Scotland or take some photos or whatever it is. I'm so glad that you're here. So thank you so much for watching. Just an FYI, we have a new kitten and he makes a lot of noises. So if you hear those in the background, I'm not even gonna try to cut him out because he is just part of our life now, and so we just have to learn to deal with it. So welcome, Gimli. I hope you are enjoying yourself playing with the wall right now. So today's video is gonna be all about 3 things I wish I knew before I became a content creator. I try to use the word influencer sparingly. I think that it has a negative connotation to it, even though I guess you could call me an influencer. I have quite a large Instagram and TikTok following, which would qualify as influencing as such, but I think there's some really negative connotations around the word influencer. So for all intents and purposes, we are going to be using the word content creator. Just a little background about me. I've been a photographer, a professional photographer for over 10 years, and I have been a wedding photographer, a boudoir photographer, an event photographer, any type of photographer you can think of I have been, except for porn. I have basically transferred that skill many times and evolved it many times to get it to where it is today. And I think because of the years of practice and skills that I acquired throughout being a photographer is all kind of transferred into becoming what I am now, which, as I said, is a content creator for Scotland related travel content. But I am also a full-time photographer here in Edinburgh, specializing in main character photo shoots, which are a vibe. That is why I feel qualified enough to tell you 3 things that I wish I knew before I became a content creator. Hopefully these will help you on your journey if you are just starting. It's not cringe, FYI. So many people are like, oh, I don't want to be that because I don't want to be cringe. It is not cringe, it's fabulous, it's so much fun. There are so many highlights to it, but there are definitely some things that I wish I knew before I got started. So let's get into it. Here are 3 things I wish I knew before I became a content creator. The first thing that you need to know is that things will no longer be fun. Not to say that everything isn't fun, you know, there are definitely highlights to this job. There are definitely amazing things about being a content creator, getting paid to travel, getting paid to visit hotels, restaurants, activities, and all of that kind of thing. Something that I really wish I understood before I got started was how much real work this was going to be and how much fun it can take out of a travel experience or just an experience in general. What I mean by that is when we arrive at a hotel to photograph it, get video content of it, and put it on socials, we have to make sure we don't touch anything before we get there. So we could have been driving for hours and hours to get somewhere. All of our stuff needs to remain in the car or outside, shoes are off, and we walk into a space and have to spend at least an hour photographing and filming that before we can actually relax and enjoy the space. And even when we make that really curated content, like us, you know, having a bathtub with like the champagne or lighting the fire or making a meal or things like that, all of that is literally done for the gram. So it does take a bit of the fun out of it. It does take some of the enjoyment out of being in a space and actually experiencing something. For example, last year we were sent with the NC500 to do a 5-day stay across like most northern points of Scotland, and we went for surfing lessons and went co-steering and jewelry making and did all these amazing activities to highlight local businesses on the NC500. But you know, when we were surfing, we had to buy equipment so that we were able to film while we were actually surfing, and we had to get the instructor to help us because we are not surfers, guys. We do not know what we're doing. So we had to get help being able to film some of that content, and it does take away a little bit from that experience. Also, when we went co-steering, which is like cliff jumping and diving in the sea and swimming and climbing rocks and everything, when we did that, turns out I'm not a confident sea swimmer by any means, so I was absolutely packing it when we were trying to do this. So trying to look like we're having so much fun and, you know, just vibing, enjoying the experience is actually really terrifying, and I did absolutely shit myself doing that whilst we were in the midst of it. So yeah, that's the first thing that you should know about becoming a content creator. It's not always going to be just amazing and fun and light and easy. You do need to really focus on the job first before you actually get to enjoy the experience. And sometimes you actually can leave some of these experiences or stays or meals or things actually not having enjoyed it at all. Like you've enjoyed it from a point of, I've got the content I want, you know, things are good, I've taken photos of this beautiful food, I'm eating it now, it's cold, I've stayed in this hotel, but I need to work through the entire time, so I actually didn't get to enjoy just being present and enjoying the space. So you leave that feeling knackered as well. And then after those experiences, you then need to take the content home to process it, post it, hope that it does well online. So that is the first thing that you should know, is that it takes the fun out of many experiences. I do want to preface by saying that I'm so grateful for it though, and I do genuinely love it. We just have noticed that we have had to kind of book in trips and activities and experiences and purposely not take our cameras because we simply cannot help ourselves. We just want to film content all of the time. The second thing that I wish I knew before becoming a content creator was that there are definitely going to be quiet seasons. Now, I already knew that to some degree that this would be a thing, but I really thought that my summer period would be a busy time where I'd get booked a lot, I'd be asked to do a lot of collaborations, invited to stays and experiences and everything. But what I've actually found is I personally am most busy during the winter seasons or autumn and winter. I don't know if this is because a lot of my content is geared a lot more towards like winter and coolest days and things like that, in like coldest days, but I just seem like I don't really hear anything in summer. It's crickets over summer, which is maybe not necessarily a bad thing because it is hot in Scotland in summer. Even though I'm from Australia, it is very hot in Scotland. We're not built for the heat. But, you know, to actually just enjoy the summer here is a really lovely opportunity. So it is kind of like my off season. That can maybe throw some people, as well as realizing that you will have an on and off season through this, and you'll have times where you are inundated with inquiries, so much so that you can't take anything else on, and you'll have periods where it's so quiet that you're thinking, what am I doing? Is this even going to work? In those times, here's the cat. In those times when I'm worried about not getting any work, that is when I focus on what I'm going to tell you in the third tip, which is funding your own like campaigns as such is a really, really great way to fill those times when you are a little bit quiet. So leading into my third tip, you can't always expect money to come from content creation. It's often in collaboration or exchange of, and if you do get paid, depending on the business, the price point of that payment can be really low sometimes, or it can be really high. It really just does differ across the whole spectrum of, depending on the business, what the content requirement is, what your deliverables are. There are so many variants to how much you can get paid, and if you even do get paid for some of these. One of the biggest things that I learned also from a YouTube video was that sponsoring and backing yourself is the best way to stay consistent through content creation. And I wish that I knew this a little bit more when I started, but I did catch on to it very, very quickly. I have a bit of background in course creation and as a photographer, so funding myself and getting paid as a self-employed person is something I'm very familiar with. If I could go back and tell myself or share with you new content creator is that being able to fund your own campaigns as such, or fund your own work, is one of the best ways to remain consistent and to make this a full-time gig. So what I mean by that is pitching. So pitching to businesses and offering them in exchange of, or offering a introductory rate to just build your portfolio and get yourself out there. It can also mean creating online products and courses. So like presets, digital downloads, guides, actual education, online courses, things like that for a small fee or a high fee, whatever tickles your pickle, putting them on your own website and selling them as an ongoing thing. If you're a photographer, booking in photo shoots that are outside of your content creation. So that could be weddings, it could be branding, it could be events, it could be boudoir. There are so many other ways within that photography realm that you can make money. You can sell prints and sell your things on, oh my God, there are so many places that you can do that. If you're able to create multiple streams of income for these things to come through, you are then constantly supporting yourself so that you've always got money. And I know that some of these things take some time, right? So I've only just launched my print store. I've had digital guides up for about a year now, and they do bring in like a little bit of income, but they're not like a hefty amount of income. So I rely for the majority of time on my photo shoots as my main source of income. And then when the collaborations or the invites and things come through, then I am able to take them as they come, but not worry too much about them funding the rest of my life. So I'm actually gonna lead that into a fourth little extra bonus tip, is to be selective with what you take on. I know when you get started, it's gonna be really, really exciting when this brand or hotel or restaurant reaches out and says, hey, we want to invite you here for a free dinner or a free this or a free that, or in collaboration of. Something that I'm really proud of myself for doing is being really intentional with the businesses and brands that I worked with. I've definitely probably picked up a thing or two in the past where I've been like, that wasn't super aligned, or it wasn't like exactly what I wanted to do. I said yes to things that, you know, weren't exactly aligned with Scotlandmagic as a brand, but I have for the most part been super, super selective about who I've worked with and understood the values of that brand, understood that they like the quality of what I'm producing, that they want to collaborate and actually work creatively together rather than just saying, this is what we want, this is how we're going to get it. It's been very selective as well with businesses and brands that support my own ethos and my own values, which is responsible tourism. I'm showcasing lesser known things so that we can bring more tourism into areas that need it more. Just the values and the essence of their brand has to feel like matches up with what mine is. I've definitely had things come through that I've had to sit and go, the money would be great, but actually, do they align with me? Do they feel like a good fit? Do they feel like a good match? Will my audience, who have built and cultivated a really big trust with over time, will they value that as well? And when I share that, they're going to continue to trust me, because trust with my audience is one of the biggest parts of value in Scotlandmagic for me. Really just make sure that you are picking places that feel like they are aligned with what you like to do, with things that you would actually go and pay for. I think that's probably the best way to kind of think about it, is like if somebody inquires with you and they want to send you to this restaurant, is that a place that you would actually go and pay for to eat? And if it's not, then don't take it on. Just because it's there doesn't mean you need to take it. Not every opportunity is a good one. So be really selective with the places that you take on and the places that you pitch to, so that you are creating a really authentic experience for your community so that they can continue to trust you and believe in you and follow you and interact with you and support all of the things that you are doing. So be selective. So just to wrap up everything we've spoken about today, the things that I want you to know as a content creator, things that I wish I knew before I got started. First thing is, content creation is not always going to be fun, and that's okay. Sometimes it's going to be hard work, but that is what you're working for, to have this lifestyle. Not all jobs have a like easy breezy and just perfect the entire time. Everything's got its pros and cons, and that's just part of the process. The second thing to remember is that you will have an off season, and it's normal for things to ebb and flow. It's normal to have quiet periods and then having busy periods as well. Embrace the quiet periods because you know it's always going to pick up again. And that leads into my third tip, which is make sure you back yourself or find a way to create income to support yourself while you are in those ebbs and flows. So being able to create a passive income source, like creating digital guides, courses, presets, or offering yourself up as a photographer or whatever other skill that you have, and utilizing that to actually sponsor and back the content that you are creating. My fourth little bonus tip is to be selective with the collaborations that you are invited to. Be selective with the paid jobs that you are getting and build that trust with your audience so that they can continue to follow you authentically, trust in everything that you are saying, and ultimately you become a person of authority within your field, which is so important. That's what builds a lasting, strong, and supportive community. Thank you so much for joining today, guys. If you have any questions or you want any topics covered, please feel free to pop them in the comments or let me know what you thought of today's video. Educational content is quite new to me, so I hope you have enjoyed it today and taken at least one thing away. And make sure you like, follow, subscribe so that you get notified when the next videos are coming out.